Billionaire turned down by all, but spots a struggling maid and asks, "Will you marry me tonight?" In a city that never sleeps, shadows linger in the most unexpected corners. Tonight, everything was poised for spectacle. Picture this, a billionaire, revered with cash and luxuries, steeped in a world of glitzy soirees and flashy cars, found himself alone in the darkened back alleys of Manhattan. Rejected by the elite, his heart bore an unbearable weight. But fate had a strange twist in store. Out of the gloom, he spotted a frail figure, a maid struggling with heavy bags, drops of sweat beading on her forehead. With the flicker of street lamps casting eerie shadows, she was the embodiment of resilience in a world that overlooked her. Her uniform, worn and patched, told a story of relentless labor. What would drive a man of his stature to look upon her with such intensity? Was it the stark contrast of their lives, or something deeper? His heart raced. Was it compassion, desperation, or a wild twist of fate? As he closed the distance, the air thickened, crackling with tension. People nearby paused, uncertainty brimming in their eyes. Murmurs filled the night like whispers of gossip swirling around a scandal. What would happen next? The billionaire, once untouchable, had become a mere human standing before a stranger. "Will you marry me tonight?" he asked, the question hanging in the air like a thunderclap. Gasps erupted around them, shock rippling through the crowd. The maid's eyes widened. What did he mean? First her disbelief, then the creeping dread. This was madness. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The response hung in the balance, a volatile cocktail of confusion and intrigue. The crowd leaned in, every breath held tight in anticipation. What if she said yes? What if she walked away? Just then, a distant siren pierced through the city's stillness, amplifying the moment's urgency. In that hot heartbeat of time, behind the surface of extraordinary wealth and desperate dreams, lurked deeper secrets. What drew these two souls together, and what lay beneath this impulsive proposal? Was it true love, or the spark of fate igniting something far more complex? As the winds shifted, weaving doubt and potential alike, one thing was clear: the night was just beginning, and the answer would change everything. The maid, Anna, felt her heart pound in her chest like a drum. Her mind raced, caught in a fierce whirlpool of disbelief and curiosity. Marry him? This enigmatic billionaire? The thought seemed absurd. Her family had survived through years of hardship, and she had climbed through dark alleys only to find herself wrapped in this unforeseen spotlight. Around her, people whispered. Some smirked, others looked at her with pity. "Just walk away, Anna," a voice inside screamed. Yet here was someone daring her to step into a world that seemed unreachable, a chance that felt impossibly wild. The billionaire's eyes were earnest, dark pools of longing and desperation. I, she stammered, taking a step back. Fear wrapped around her throat like a noose. What would marrying a man like him mean? She'd seen the world of the wealthy from afar: glittering parties, glamorous clothes, lives lived in fast forward. But she was a maid. She had seen how the rich played at happiness, and how beneath their laughter, many lives were shattered. "Please," he said, breaking through her chaotic thoughts like a lifeline. "Just for one night. We could be something different, something real." His breath was ragged, a testament to the weight of his own burdens. The present felt surreal, like a scene from an absurd movie. Was he really asking her to bear witness to his unraveling? The siren wailed again, jangling her nerves like a cold wind. Pressing a trembling hand to her chest, Anna felt a surge of certainty. "One night? Is that what you're offering?" The words escaped her lips, driven by impulse. His face shifted, disappointment flickering across it with haunting clarity. No. It's more than that. It's a chance, a risk. She hesitated, glancing at the gathering crowd now pulsing with excitement, like a live wire threatening to spark. Why me? The question hung heavy between them. Because you are real, he replied. You see people not as their wealth, but their worth. You have a strength I admire. His words struck her like lightning. The truth was intoxicating yet terrifying. What if he was right? But could she trust a man so accustomed to luxury and deception? Could a night of reckless possibility reshape their lives, or would it be a mistake she would live to regret? Behind her, someone scoffed, breaking the illusion. He's playing with you, girl. A man in a tattered coat stepped forward, his eyes glinting with disdain. Don't fall for it. Anna's heart raced, her choices expanding and contracting like the city itself. Could she take a leap of faith? The night shimmered with unknowing paths, each laden with uncertainty. Okay, she said, her voice steady despite the storm within her. But before she could take a step towards him, the billionaire's phone buzzed loudly, slicing through the tension. He glanced at the screen, his expression morphing from desire to something darker. What is it? Anna asked, sensing the shift. Something's wrong, he muttered under his breath, dread creeping into his voice as he read the message. Suddenly, the plight before them escalated, secrets from his past lurked dangerously close. The night was about to plunge into chaos, and Anna didn't know if she was ready for the truth that would come crashing down. Would she become the light in his darkness, or just another fleeting shadow in a night of uncertainty? What lurked behind that phone call, and how would it shatter their fragile moment? As the crowd watched with bated breath, a new weight settled upon them, and the stakes had never felt this high. His fingers tightened around the phone, knuckles going white. Anna could see the way his jaw clenched, the shift of his body that signaled he was teetering on the brink of panic. The crowd's murmurs rose like waves. Something was wrong, and it felt as if the ground beneath them was crumbling. Can you explain? She pressed, even as an icy knot twisted in her stomach. With each second stretching into a minute, the world around them faded to a blur. Only he remained sharply in focus, a statue caught in a tempest of emotion. Not here, he finally stated, a rush of urgency in his voice. He turned, scanning the crowd like a hawk searching for prey, and his eyes landed on a nearby car, its dark sheen reflecting the chaos unfolding. Come with me. Anna lingered, caught between the throbbing pulse of the crowd and the magnetic pull of his plea. Would this leap into the unknown feel like salvation or another mistake? Wait. She called back when he started moving away, her breath hitching as she took a step after him. What is happening? He stopped, his eyes locking onto hers with a desperate fervor. I can't explain now, but it's serious. I need you to trust me. Trust. The word hung between them like a gossamer thread, fragile and twisted. Anna's heart surged with the tug-of-war between fear and the flicker of something that felt oddly like hope. Do you want me to help you? She asked, trying to pierce through the tension. When he nodded gravely, every instinct screamed at her, but she couldn't ignore the strained sincerity in his expression. Then let us go, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt inside. As they hurried towards the car, the whispers behind them reached a fever pitch. A group of onlookers eyed them like a live show unfolding before their eyes. Some gasped, while others exchanged bets on how this bizarre tale would play out. The crackling tension in the air prickled her skin, but she pressed forward. Once inside the sleek black vehicle, the atmosphere shifted again. The walls felt too close, the ticking clock a reminder that they were racing against something unseeable. He flung the door shut, and the engine hummed to life with a determined growl. In the cramped back seat, the billionaire leaned forward, his hands gripping the edge of the console. There are people who want to keep me from my past, he admitted, voice low and urgent. People who don't want you involved. I thought I could escape them, but his gaze turned hard, intense. They found me. Anna's skin prickled with dread. A chill enveloped her, swirling with the shadows of secrets yet to be revealed. Would she truly be plunging into his darkness? What do you mean? She demanded, fear edging into her voice. Who are they? He shook his head, frustration evident in the set of his shoulders. Just as he was about to speak again, his phone buzzed ominously, a harsh reminder of the threat lurking just beyond their reach. Sit tight, he said, his tone brokering no argument. They shot out of the crowded street, into the night, where reality blurred with mirage, and danger hung in the air like an uninvited guest. Anna's heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a wild thing wanting to escape. Clarity swirled in her mind. The decision she had made was irrevocable, but what awaited her in this exhilarating yet terrifying moment? As the city lights fell behind them and shadows loomed ever closer, she realized she was no longer just a maid. She was part of something bigger, caught in a game where lives hung in the balance. Would she find the truth or become part of a story from which there would be no return? And as they sped towards the unknown, Anna ached to know if the man beside her would be her savior or her downfall. The car sliced through the darkness, headlights piercing the veil of night like daggers. Anna's pulse throbbed in her ears, the rhythm of uncertainty unsettling. What do you mean, they found you? She pressed, unwilling to let the fog of fear in which they raced consume her. He turned to face her, his eyes fierce and glossy with urgency. There are people who think I owe them. They don't care about what I've built or who I've become. They see something valuable in me and think they can take it back. I'm not going back to that. Each word was like a cold lash upon her skin, sending tremors through her body. The sense of being dragged into a storm was too palpable. So those people, they're targeting you? Her voice trembled. Yes, he breathed, as if saying it aloud made it all the more real. It's about my family. About something I buried long ago. As the streetlights flickered into shadows behind them, a sense of dread settled in. She didn't know whether to feel anger or pity for him, but the truth already felt darker than she could imagine. A sudden loud crack rang through the air, and their driver swerved sharply, tires squealing. Anna's heart leaped into her throat as she was jostled against the door. What was that? She gasped, bracing herself. Gunshots, he said flatly, his jaw locked tight with resolve. They've found us. Panic gnawed at her insides, sharp and unforgiving. The city, once a familiar landscape, transformed into a treacherous maze. She barely had time to fully grasp the danger they were in before the driver maneuvered them into a narrow alley, the darkness enveloping them like a shroud. Anna pressed herself against the cool leather seat, her breaths coming fast and shallow. What do we do? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Keep your head down. His strong, reassuring presence filled the cramped space, though dread flickered in his eyes. We need to lose them. The car slowed, pulling to a stop. The driver glanced nervously in the rearview mirror, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. It's too dangerous, he muttered, glancing towards the back. We need to get out of here, now. Before Anna could process what was happening, the billionaire grabbed her wrist and yanked her toward the door. She stumbled behind him, her heart rate spiking as she caught sight of two shadowy figures lingering near the alley's mouth. Run! He shouted, urgency spilling into action. They dashed through the side street, the sounds of the bustling city muffled behind them. Anna's feet pounded against the pavement, fear propelling her forward as adrenaline coursed through her veins. What now? She gasped, glancing over her shoulder, her breath ragged. There's a safe house not far from here, he said, his determination unwavering. But we have to get there first. The fear wrapped around her like a vice, each breath more labored than the last. What if no time? He cut her off. You have to trust me. And just like that, they plunged deeper into a maze of alleyways, each turn offering no sense of safety. Much of her world shattered, he wasn't just a man with a troubled past, he was now a hunted man. The shadows stretched ominously behind them, and a chilling realization settled in. It wasn't just his life at risk, hers had become intertwined with his. Anna felt a swell of courage rising within her. She wouldn't cower. Not now. If we reach this safe house, she asked, urgency snapping at her words, how can I help? He glanced at her, admiration edging through the chaos. You just did. You stayed with me. That's more than they expect. But as they turned a corner, the sound of footsteps echoed ahead of them, the heavy thud of approaching danger. She felt the blood drain from her face. Get ready, he warned as they skidded to a halt, hearts racing like a dark horse ready to bolt. And as the silhouettes grew clearer, Anna's heart stopped. Standing there was someone from his past, someone who would change everything. Stop right there. A commanding voice called out, twisting the air into sharp desperation. Their fate hung in the balance, and uncertainty loomed heavy overhead. Who had they run into now? What truth would be unearthed in this moment? Anna's throat tightened with anticipation. What were they going to discover, and could they escape together? Stop right there. The voice sliced through the tension like a knife. Anna froze, the adrenaline in her veins suddenly replaced with icy dread. The figure in front of them stepped forward, the dim alley light revealing a familiar face, etched in anger and betrayal. Victor. The word slipped from her lips before she could think twice. A shiver ran down her spine, and she glanced at the billionaire beside her. His face had gone pale, the strength in his demeanor faltering under the weight of this unexpected confrontation. What are you doing here? Victor snapped, eyes darting between them. Have you lost your mind, Gavin? He stepped closer, hands balled into fists. You come crawling back to this city like you belong here? Where's your precious empire now? Gavin's gaze narrowed, a mix of shock and anger bubbling beneath the surface. This isn't what it looks like, he replied tightly. I'm not back for that. They're hunting me. Victor's laughter was dark, mocking. Hunting you? Oh, I've got to admit, I didn't think you could sink lower. But it seems the stories are true. You traded family for wealth, and now you can't escape your past. Anna's heart raced, pounding like a war drum in her chest. The air was thick with hostility, and she felt the unease pulse through her, like a swarm of wasps ready to strike. She didn't understand fully what was happening, but she could feel the betrayal and regret swirling around them like a foul storm. They're coming, Victor. We came straight from the car, Gavin insisted, his voice rising in desperation. I'm not here to fight with you. Who cares? Victor snapped. You think I care about your sob story? You think anyone here does? The acknowledgement of what they faced sent him back a step, his bravado cracking. Why should I help you? Because it's about more than just me. It's about family, your family. Gavin's words hung heavy, and for an instant, a flicker of recognition crossed Victor's face, as if the wind had shifted and revealed a hidden path in the fog. This isn't just about the past anymore. It's about survival. Anna remained frozen, feeling the weight of their shared history tumbling out like bricks from a crumbling wall. She didn't want to be caught in a tug of war between these two men, each with stakes too personal to grasp fully. Before she could say a word, the distant echo of footsteps shattered the fragile moment. A knot tightened in her gut, the danger was closing in. She could hear the low murmurs, the hurried voices, the unmistakable sound of pursuit. They had to act. Listen, there's no time for this, she finally found her voice, adrenaline sharpening her words. You both have a chance. Either you shake hands and save each other, or you do nothing and watch everything go up in flames. Victor stared at her, disbelief mingling with an undeniable spark of consideration. It was a bold move, she could almost feel the anxiety radiating off Gavin, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were at a crossroads. Help me save him, Victor, she continued, stepping closer to Gavin, who looked at her, bewildered. We need to escape together. If we don't, it will swallow us all. I won't abandon him. Each word to Victor landed like a weight, but she could see it sinking in, the realization that this wasn't just about revenge anymore. They were all intertwined in a web of shared consequences. Do you really think just the two of you can outrun them? Victor challenged, but he looked uncertain. Yes, Gavin replied fiercely, sensing the shift in the air. But we can't do it alone. Victor's breath hitched, the shadows creeping in behind him seemed to whisper warnings. The clock was ticking. Fine, he spat, grudgingly extending a hand as if it pained him to do so. But if this goes south, don't think for a second I'll hesitate to save my own skin. They formed an uneasy alliance, and Anna felt a sense of urgency inhale the night. Each second counted, and yet a deeper question thrummed beneath the surface: what had been buried in the past, and would the truth consume them all? Now, let us move. Gavin urged, pushing forward into the darkness, but just as they turned, a shriller, commanding voice pierced the air again, echoing eerily down the alley, "You're not getting away that easily." Anna's pulse quickened as footsteps thundered behind them, the shadows morphing into monstrous shapes. Would they truly escape, or was this just the beginning of a nightmare? The chase held on to the edge of danger as they sprinted, but Anna couldn't shake the feeling that the secrets they unleashed would follow them wherever they went. What lay ahead? Would this desperate gamble pay off, or lead them deeper into a trap? Anna pushed herself forward, the cold air biting at her lungs as she urged Gavin and Victor to keep moving. The echoing footsteps grew closer, the sound reverberating in her mind like a funeral bell. They sprinted down the alley, the night closing in like a vice. There were too many shadows and not enough light. Which way? Victor barked, urgency now flooding his voice. Left. Gavin shouted, yanking her arm in that direction. Anna followed, her heart pounding like a war drum. She could feel Victor's tension radiating off him, like a volatile storm ready to break. They turned into a side street, the dim glow of flickering neon signs casting eerie shapes against the wet pavement. For a brief moment, Anna felt a flicker of hope. They were creating distance, right? But that fleeting comfort was quickly extinguished. The footsteps didn't vanish, they split into multiple directions, surrounding them like wolves closing in on prey. Are they everywhere? She gasped, catching sight of Gavin's panicked expression. His jaw clenched, revealing the raw fear beneath his usually composed exterior. Just keep moving. He urged, glancing over his shoulder, eyes wild. Victor stayed close, but she could see his internal struggle. This wasn't just a pursuit, it was a reckoning. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were not only running from physical danger but from ghosts of their past. Secrets and lies loomed in the shadows, waiting to pounce. Once they slowed down, they turned another corner into a quieter street, feeling a momentary reprieve. Gavin pressed against a building, chest heaving with effort. For a moment, we need to think, he rasped, pressing a hand to his forehead. If we're going to get out of this, Victor interrupted, we don't have time for plans. We need to keep. A loud crash echoed nearby, and they all jumped. A bottle shattered against the sidewalk. Panic surged through Anna again, threatening to swallow her whole. What was that? Gavin looked at her with wide eyes. It could be anyone, we can't just stand here. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, their face obscured by a hood. Anna's heart plummeted. It was just too much. The adrenaline was racking her body, making her tremble. She couldn't keep her eyes off the approaching figure, frozen in place. Gavin moved forward instinctively, trying to shield her from the potential threat. Who are you? He demanded, voice low but firm. The stranger paused, the dim light revealing a glint of something sharp in their hand. You're in way over your head, Gavin, a taunting voice echoed. You thought you could come back and not be tracked down. Anna's breath caught in her throat. You know him? She asked quietly, unsure if she really wanted to know the answer. He's not the only one who knows you, the figure said, stepping closer, revealing more of their silhouette. Gavin took a step back, and Victor clenched his fists in frustration. This isn't just about him. We're all in danger now. Too late for that. The figure laughed darkly, stepping slightly into the light. The recognition hit Anna like a punch in the gut. It was someone from Gavin's past, someone she couldn't expect. The looming worry darkened her thoughts as the man spoke again. They'll come for you, Gavin. You can't hide from the truth. A thrill of icy apprehension wrapped around Anna's spine as those words echoed in her mind. The air felt heavier, thick with unspoken implications, like a dam was about to burst. Who sent you? Gavin shot back defiantly. The stranger's grin widened, and it sent a chill racing through Anna's veins. You'll find out soon enough. But don't worry, you won't be alone. What's coming? It goes beyond you, my friend. Before she could process it all, a loud shout pierced the darkness. There they are. Panic reigned as she realized their moment of respite had come to an abrupt end. Gavin's eyes widened, and Victor surged forward, but there was nowhere left to flee. Run! Gavin yelled, and they took off again, fueled by fear and desperation, but the echo of the stranger's laughter haunted them as the shadows closed in. What awaited them next? Would they face genuinely horrifying truths or merely dangerous revelations? As they bolted down the street, one question loomed large: were they running towards their salvation, or into the depths of a trap that could consume them all? Anna could barely breathe, her lungs burning as they sprinted. Each step felt like running through molasses, heavy and exhausting. They dashed past deserted shops and flickering streetlights, shadows grasping at their heels. The prospect of being caught only fueled their adrenaline. Where do we go now? Victor gasped, wiping sweat from his brow with a shaking hand. The anxiety in his voice felt almost palpable. Anywhere but here. Gavin shouted, weaving through alleys like a pinball. Anna felt her heart slam against her rib cage. They're right behind us. She risked a glance back. Dark shapes blurred in the distance, gaining ground with every heartbeat. Fear clawed at her throat like a live wire. Just keep going. Gavin urged again, his grip on Anna tightening. They turned onto another street, a narrow lane, but it was empty and silent, the kind of stillness that promised more danger lurking around every corner. They turned another corner, and Anna could see a small park ahead. The moonlight cut through the branches, casting a spectral glow on the ground. We could hide in there, she suggested, her voice rising with hope. Are you crazy? Victor's response was immediate, laced with disbelief. It's easier to spot us in the dark. Maybe we can find a way to escape them. Her mind raced with possibilities. We can double back and confuse them. Gavin hesitated, peering into the looming shadows of the park. Just for a moment, he conceded, breathless. If we're cornered, we'll think of something else. They slipped into the park, the air cooler and quieter. The foliage loomed around them, a canopy of secrecy. Anna leaned against a tree, her heart still racing. The distant sounds of footsteps echoed and then faded, but the tension remained thick as molasses. Do you think they lost us? Gavin whispered, scanning the area. No, Victor breathed, sounding uneasy. They could be anywhere. Great. Just great. Anna ran her fingers through her hair, tugging at the strands in desperation. Do you know who that guy was? Her question hung in the air, heavy with dread. There's too much I tried to forget, Gavin admitted, his face hardening. Someone from my past came back to haunt me. Why? Anna pressed, urgency flooding her. Are your secrets that dangerous? More than you realize, Gavin snapped, then softened. We need to focus on getting out of here. As they crouched behind the trees, silent and breathless, an uneasy rustle interrupted them. Leaves crunched nearby, and adrenaline surged. They all widened their eyes, silent prayers crossing Anna's mind. Would it be the pursuers? Or something worse? A figure stepped into the path. It wasn't one of their pursuers. Anna's heart lurched, and she instantly recognized the stranger. It was the man from before, the one who had taunted and terrified them. "Didn't he expect to find you here, Gavin?" he said, a wicked smile curling his lips. "Get away from us!" Victor shouted, stepping in front of Anna protectively. "Ah, the brave knight," the stranger mocked. "You think you can stop me? The fun is just beginning." From behind the bushes, the sound of footsteps multiplied again. They had come too close to the truth too quickly. Voices began to murmur through the foliage, sinister and low. "Move now!" Gavin commanded, urgency dripping from every word. As they darted deeper into the bushes, the vibrations of approaching footsteps surged, a full-on rush of danger closing in from all sides. Panic seemed to wrap around them like the night itself. They needed a plan, something. Muffled voices surrounded them, and their only escape paths were dwindling. What were they going to do? Then suddenly, a piercing scream cut through the air, freezing them in place. What was that? Was it one of them, or was there more to this terror? The questions spiraled, suffocating their thoughts as fear clawed at their throats. Anna's mind raced. They were running out of time and out of options. What awaited them in the darkness? And more importantly, could they escape the truth that hunted them? The scream echoed through the park, cutting into the stillness with a brutal clarity. Anna felt her stomach drop as dread twisted inside her. She clutched Gavin's arm tightly, the rough bark of the tree their backs pressed against scraped against her skin, grounding her just enough to process what lay ahead. What was that? Victor's voice trembled as he scanned the shadows. "Stay quiet," Gavin hissed, his eyes darting around the foliage, every rustle urging a new wave of fear. Anna squeezed her eyes shut for a brief moment, channeling her focus, trying to steady her whirling thoughts. A moment of silence fell, one that felt heavy and oppressive. Then, another scream rang out, this time accompanied by an agonizing shout. "Help! Somebody help!" Her heart raced. The voice was distorted by fear familiar. It sounded like Clara, a girl from school, someone who had brushed past her so many times in the hall, always caught up in life's petty dramas. "It's Clara." Anna's voice broke, lifting her countenance in desperation. "Are you sure? We can't risk it." Gavin warned, but there was hesitation in his tone. "No, we have to help her." Anna insisted, adrenaline replacing her fear momentarily. Without waiting for an answer, she maneuvered through the foliage, driven by a force she couldn't name. Her feet were following an instinct, leading her deeper into the park, toward the source of the cries. The bitter smell of damp earth mingled with the faint scent of blooming night jasmine as they pushed further. "Wait!" Victor shouted, but she pressed on, her heart pounding as Clara's cries grew louder, merging with the sound of rustling branches and hurried footsteps. Suddenly, a flashlight beam sliced through the darkness, silhouetting a figure in the distance. Adam. It was hard to make out, but the armed men were looming too. Their conversations were punctuated with laughter that sent a chill through Anna. "We're almost there," she whispered to Victor and Gavin, who were close behind, their breaths shallow and frantic, but then, light flickered past them. A glance from Gavin, something dangerous stirred behind his eyes. "We can't just charge in." "Then what? Stand here and do nothing?" She shot back, a tremor of defiance quivering in her voice. Victor hesitated, twisting his hands nervously. "We could distract them, get Clara out of here while we have the chance. Okay, we create a diversion. But we do it fast." Anna felt a surge of resolve. They moved silently to a cluster of dense bushes, planning their next move, their breath steadying. At least for a moment, Gavin's face turned serious. "You know what you're asking, right? We might not make it back. But we don't leave anyone behind." It was a mantra that echoed inside her. The branches cracked as another scream split the night air, Clara's desperate call snapping Anna back into action. It reinforced everything, the fear, the uncertainty, but most of all, the urgency. "Now!" Anna urged, her heart racing as they darted into the narrow opening where Clara's cries were coming from. As they broke into the clearing, the flashlight beams danced, revealing a shocking scene. Clara was cornered, one of the men gripping her arm with a cruel smile etched across his face. "Get away from her." Victor's voice rang out, strong and determined, but the man turned, shock morphing to a sneer. "Look what we have here, a little band of heroes." He shifted, now fully blocking Clara from sight. Something shifted within Anna. The weight of dread permeated the air, heavy and suffocating, wrapping around her like fog. They were faced with need and danger, and everything hinged on a choice that burned into her core. "Run!" Clara screamed, pulling against her captor's grip, but Anna was already moving. Heart racing. Time had stolen away their moments. What should they do next? Would they gamble everything for one life, or would this echo become the last sound they ever heard? The answers lay ahead, but one thing was clear: escape was no longer an option. Anna didn't pause to think. The instinct to protect Clara surged through her, blurring everything outside this intent. She was sprinting now, feet pounding against the gravel, adrenaline igniting her every move. Gavin and Victor followed, voices rising in protest as they shared glances of dread. "Turn back!" Gavin shouted, but the fire in her belly drowned out his words. She could see Clara's panic-stricken face, wide and pleading. The man's grip looked unyielding, fingers squeezing tight against her flesh. The flickering flashlight illuminated a glimmer of fear in Clara's eyes, piercing through Anna's bravado. "Clara!" Anna yelled, voice hoarse yet defiant. "Hold on!" The smirk on the man's face twisted into a frown, annoyance washing over him like a cold wave. His eyes narrowed at Anna, and she could see the sudden shift. She had interrupted his fun. "This little show just got interesting," he sneered, tightening his grip on Clara as he took a step forward, ready to tame this new threat. Gavin pushed his way to the front, face alight with both fear and resolve. "We'll make a distraction. You're going to get to Clara." With each second, the tension thickened, suffocating their resolve like the damp air around them. Victor, visibly trembling, had slunk back into the shadows, anxiety squeezing his lungs. "Anna, please, let us go," he pleaded, eyes darting around as if searching for an escape that might never come. A stupid thought flashed into Anna's mind, something like bravery or desperation, maybe both. "Over there!" she shouted, pointing to a pile of abandoned crates nearby. Her voice was raw, filled with panic-stricken determination. "We can make some noise, draw their attention." Gavin turned, scanning their surroundings. "That could work," he said, doubt creeping into his tone. "Now," Anna insisted. The fight for Clara had become an instinct, an emotion pulsing through her veins, fierce and unwavering. They dashed toward the crates, hands trembling but unyielding. Anna grabbed the biggest piece of scrap which she could find, raising it high above her head before slamming it against one of the aged barrels. The sound echoed harshly, resembling a thunderclap in the night filled with screams. "Hey!" The man spun around, instinctively letting go of Clara's arm. The moment hung in the air like a heavy curtain, the flickering beam of his flashlight wobbling drunkenly at Anna and Gavin. Clara seized the opportunity, adrenaline pumping her limbs as she darted toward Anna with fear and desperation lighting her features. "Go!" she cried, instinctively reaching for Anna's hand, but the man was fast. He lunged forward, cursing as he struggled to fix his focus back on them. "You think playing games will save you?" he growled, advancing, a predator ready to pounce. Gavin stepped in front of Clara and Anna, eyes fierce, fists clenched in refusal to back down. "You need to get out of here," he roared, purpose radiating off him like fiery armor. The chaos spiraled, breaths quickening and hearts racing. They were teetering on the edge of tragedy. One wrong move, and it could all slip away. In a heartbeat, the woods darkened more intensely, shadows stretching deeper. The laughter from the other men faded into a low hum, painting a picture of impending dread as the thud of footsteps approached. Just when hope glimmered like a candle's wick, flickering dangerously in the wind, a new sound reverberated through the trees. Another voice, heavy and muffled, added to the calls for help. Panic gripped Anna's chest again, fresh and raw. Who else was there? Was this more than just Clara's plight? "Run, all of you!" Gavin shouted. "We need to find cover." Another heaviness settled on them as they realized they weren't just losing a moment in time, but their chance of survival. Anna's instincts screamed for her to act, to rescue and fight back, but as uncertainty crept in, she wondered would she be strong enough for what lay ahead. The noise was growing louder, darkness was tightening its grip, and the fight was far from over, but the answer lurked in the shadows. Would they face it together, or would despair splinter their resolve? The shadows around them deepened, a heavy blanket of dread settling on Anna and her companions. The echoing voices grew clearer in the suffocating silence, revealing their pursuers were not the only threat lurking in the night. Another scream rang out, piercing the air and igniting their urgency. "Clara!" Gavin yelled again, his anguish palpable. But as the tension thickened, reality crashed in on Anna. They weren't just cornered, they felt the tightening noose of danger inching closer. These men were predators, wolves seeing opportunity where desperation lay. "Damn it!" One of the men spat, glancing toward the noise and settling his glare on Anna. "You think you're some kind of heroes?" Gavin stepped protectively in front of Anna and Clara, a silent vow to shield them from harm. "You don't have to do this," he said, his voice steady, though fear flickered in his eyes. "Let her go." Laughter erupted, cold and mocking. "You think you can bargain? You don't get a choice in this game. You play it or you pay." Anna's heart thudded violently in her chest. The stakes felt impossibly high, but there was no retreat. Their lives were intertwined, linked by desperation and fear. If they dropped the facade of strength now, they were done for. Without thinking, Anna pulled Clara closer. "We'll save you, I promise," she whispered, her resolve hardening. "Together." Gavin's voice was resolute. "We charge at them and fight." "Are you crazy?" Victor expostulated, eyes darting about like a trapped animal. "Listen!" Anna cried, her heart pounding louder than their pursuers' footsteps. "We're running out of options. Now or never." A pulse of adrenaline surged through her, a long-forgotten strength awakening from deep within her soul. 1. 2. 3 now. They launched themselves forward, determined to break the monstrous grip of fear. As they shattered the oppressive silence, Clara and Anna surged towards the nearest man, tackling him off guard. The element of surprise struck like lightning, but it was a fragile victory. His shout pierced the air, a war cry swallowed by chaos and echoing off the trees. Gavin and Victor fell in behind them, fists raised and fear replaced with furious determination. But all too soon, the remaining men retaliated. Fists flew, and bodies collided. The grunted curses and shouts rang through the night like thunder. Anna felt the harrowing mix of fear and strength flow through her veins, every punch and shove intensifying her instincts to fight for their lives. "Get out!" Gavin shouted to Clara and Anna, his voice filled with raw urgency. "Go, we need to split up." "No way." Anna shot back, resolute. "We stick together. Always." Clara bolstered their spirits with newfound courage as the chaos reached a fever pitch. The light beams held by their pursuers created a strobe effect against the darkness, scattering like shooting stars. Victor bobbed and weaved, eyes darting around for any sign of a possible escape route. "There. The fence." He pointed toward a rickety gate at the edge of the park, swaying in the breeze. "Cover us." Gavin growled, a swirling mix of authority and desperation driving them forward. They moved en masse, forming a protective wall along the narrow path. With a final surge, they pushed through, rushing toward the fleeting chance of freedom. Their lungs burned, they weren't just fighting for survival but reigniting a spark of hope flickering in the darkness of despair. As they barreled through the gate, the night opened up, a solid wall of fear collapsing behind them. Anna glanced over her shoulder, wild-eyed. Victory was fleeting, and behind them loomed the danger of consequences. "We need to find a safe place," she screamed, the reality sinking in. "They'll be right behind us." Chasing shadows danced along the moonlight, and they sprinted into the streets of the unfamiliar territory, gasping for breath as they fled. The city felt vast, filled with both menace and unknowing refuge. Suddenly, a loud explosion of sound erupted behind them, metal on metal, cries and chaos colliding like a freight train. But Anna didn't dare look back. Fueled by adrenaline and determination, they pressed on, until sweat poured from their brows like rain. Anna led the charge down narrow alleyways, until they found themselves in the embrace of a dimly lit diner, an oasis amidst the chaos. Inside, the warmth filled them, wrapping them tightly like a comforting embrace. The sparse crowd looked on, amused faces transforming as they absorbed the chaos that poured in alongside Anna and her companions. "What happened?" yelled the owner, his expression shifting from warmth to alarm. "Call the cops." Victor choked out. "We're in danger." Gavin moved closer to Anna, his breath ragged but eyes burning with a fierce light, and she felt hope flutter within her. They were safe for now, yet the lurking shadows of their past clawed at the edges of their minds. Victory felt fragile, but for that moment, they had made it. Together, the time spent fighting for life had forged their connection anew. "Anna," Gavin started, his expression recognizing the gravity of the night. "We'll figure this out," she interrupted softly, assured that true strength comes from not just facing fear, but sharing burdens. "And we'll face whatever comes next," Clara added, tears glistening in her eyes. As the diner grew louder with police sirens approaching, Anna glanced out the window, to the shimmering glow of the city reflecting their hope. Whatever darkness had pursued them would not define their journey anymore. Tonight, Maya had become a warrior, Gavin a protector, and even Victor, the unlikely ally. They were a family now, forged from fire, a promise of new beginnings casting brighter than any shadow. In the depth of the night, they had discovered courage, vulnerability, and the unwavering strength to rise against the odds. It was a farewell to the past, and the dawn of a new tomorrow. Now go ahead, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Let's get this out there. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who must see this finale. Your support is what keeps the stories alive, and now is the moment to show you care.